Hey y'all, welcome back to Mirror Expressions, a channel where I take the time to share a little bit of myself with you all, and I invite y'all to come on in and do the same with me. Can y'all go ahead and do me a solid, hit that thumbs up button, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, and also drop me a mirror emoji in the chat if you are doing A-okay. I just love to see how my YouTube family is doing. So if you're doing A1, let me know you're doing A1 by dropping a mirror emoji in the chat. And if not, as always, I encourage you to do what you must to get back to a healthier you. All right, y'all. Today we are going to review and recap Friend of the Family. We are on episode 6. Son of Perdition. So we left off. Mary Ann had just driven like a bat out of hell to the airport to kind of get to Jan, right? Well, Jan, I don't know. We know if you've already watched what's the show? Abducted in Plain Sight. Now, you know the story goes that Mary Ann actually sent Jan, right, to Wyoming. But yeah, we in the episode they kind of make it seem like Jan just left on the airplane. We don't know if Mary Ann actually put her on there or not. So Mary Ann ends up going to the florist shop where Bob works, and she lets him know that, hey, Jan is gone. And I couldn't stop her, right? And so we see Jan as she arrives to Wyoming, and B is there welcoming her. Like, I'm just like, how did they orchestrate all of this? Because the way they made it had it set up that Jan had her bag packed, and she was just waiting to leave at a moment whenever her mom and her dad were both not at home. So how did, that happen? How did she get the money to pay for this plane ticket? Like, how did B know to come and meet her? Like, I have so many questions. So many questions. But yeah, like in real life though, they did say that Mary Ann put her on the plane herself. So there's that piece. But anyway, because then how did she know to go to the airport? Why she didn't go to like the bus station or, But hey, anyway, we see Jan arrive. B welcomes her. And she, tells him that Zeta and Zethra are going to be glad that she's there. And he says to her, well, I'll get in touch with them. That all she needs to focus on is spending time with him for the summer. So he ends up telling her about the fun center, his partner that he calls Funny Bunny. And, how things have been going there at the fun center, which he ends up taking her straight there. And again, I'm just wondering, how is this man able to afford all of this? Like, it looks like a nice, solid place. It reminds me like of a couple of places here where I live, where, there's just a lot to do. You got the inside games, you got the outside games, like the bumper cars, the water boats, the go-karts, the video games, the skee balls, the air hockey, like those type of things. And, the places to eat, outside play, But how was he able to pick up and afford this? Like, he had already sold his business, bought that motorhome. He ain't been working. So how did he get the money to afford this? And how was he able just to go somewhere and meet a guy so quick to go into business with? I just have so many questions. Anyway, Jan's just amazed with it all, right? She's just taking it all in. And so he's showing her around realizes that one of his boys is there working. I think it was Jasper. And so she starts to talk with him and they catch up while one of the workers ends up calling B to the back. And he's all sad and in tears, and he tells him that his co-worker Bunny took his life. And B is just so flippant about it. He's just like, oh, okay, well, just go make sure the popcorn maker is working. And I'm thinking, like, have you no sympathy for anybody? And like, the co-worker was sitting there just literally bawling his tears out and saying how he did this in front of his wife. The wife had to witness it, and he was still just like, oh, okay, whatever. You know. Well, anyway, B is telling Jan he wants to take her to that theater that he was telling her about. And Jasper was just like, oh, me too. And he was like, no, just Jan. Like, dude, so you not only just was mean towards your wife, given that you don't want her, okay, let's just give you that. But you're even neglecting your children too for Jan? Like, how does a person do that? Like, oh, so disgusting. So anyway, Jan ends up calling home from the payphone, and Mary Ann and Bob are telling her that they're coming to get her. That Bob is going to drive up there, come and get her. And Jan says that she'll just leave and come back. If they do that, she's just going to leave and come back again. And so she says, I'll be back when school starts in the fall. And she hangs up. Mind you, this little girl is 13 years old at this point, y'all. Ain't no way. Ain't no way. I would have come up there and whipped that tail and then made her get in that car. And you ain't going nowhere because you ain't going to even leave the house without me. Like, oh, child, this is too much. But anyway, y'all, when she made that call to her parents, don't y'all know B's there the whole time. And I think when she hung up, he going to tell her good job or something like that. I was like, how does he get such a hold on her now? Like, because the more and more as time goes on, you don't know. It doesn't be about the aliens anymore. It's not about Zeta and Zethra as much. You know, it's more about, oh, I'm just in love with you. You were made for me, and yada, yada, yada. You know, now, she, on the other hand, is still thinking about Zeta and Zethra at times. But it's like, how do you not see this? You know, you want to be so mature and all this. Like, I don't know. Like, I just don't know. But anyways, so we see Bob and Mary Ann talking to Pete. You remember, the FBI agent. And so he's telling them that the FBI, they're not going to get involved, right? But they're not going to use their resources to get her home because at this point, she's a runaway. She wasn't taken. And so he did say, but he would introduce them to a civil attorney who may be able to help them, right? So B ends up, he's all confessing his feelings to Jan, and I think they're back in that motorhome. So yeah, he's sitting down, he's confessing his feelings. They're playing cards, right? And he just starts going on and on about, you know, how he loves her. He's loved her since before the mission. He grabs her hand. He's looking all deep into her eyes. And so all of a sudden she starts to feel uncomfortable. I mean, why? I don't know. Like what it was, what it is, but she does. She ends up like telling him, you know, she'll be right back, and she kind of interrupts the scene and just runs out to like the bathroom or the bedroom or something like that. And so we see her, you know, she closes the door and she's kind of just doing that nervous stuff she does now. like biting them nails. And then we kind of see her start to cry and tear up. And he's talking through her through the door and talking about the aliens he just heard from them. And they said that they keep asking him when the baby is coming. I said, oh, this sick MF. He is sick. He sees that she's scared. So now he gonna all of a sudden throw up that alien crap to her. And I was just like, it's one thing to have sex with her. It's another to try to impregnate their baby. Like, I wonder, was he just using that as a reason to have sex? Like, they told us we need to have a baby. Well, and this is how you end up having a baby. Like, I wonder. Because I don't know. I don't want to go into too much details about that, because it's just sick to even think about a grown man doing it to a child. But anyway, so that happens. Then we see apparently the Brobergs had gotten in touch with their civil attorney. So the civil attorney in turn calls B's attorney. Now, of course, he's working with a different guy, because remember, he said he had fired the old lady. And so their attorney, he ain't playing with them folks. Now, this is the attorney they should have had from the get-go. So his attorney says, you know, it's been 48 hours. He threatens to file a civil lawsuit if Jan is not returned home. And he said he is ready to play hardball. He said he would drag B in the mud, and he would even bring up that 5-year sentence that he was able to get away from. Right? So, we see B, he ends up taking Jan to the theater, right, to see a show. Afterwards, he was able to get her backstage to meet one of the actresses. And so, this is the first time we see B being referred to as Jan's father. So he got the actress thinking that Jan is his daughter or whatever. And so she ends up spending a little private time with Jan, because, you know, Jan is all about the acting. And one of the things or technique that she teaches her is how to deep breathe and pretend to be somebody else. Like, she's just basically, it was like, you gotta feel your character and close that gap, and so that you can really embody who your character was or who your character is or whatever. And we're going to find out this is a technique she starts to use when it comes to be like in those moments when she's getting all nervous and stuff. We see her doing that breathing and kind of just go into somebody she doesn't want to be, I guess. Anyway, we see them, the two of them, B and Jan, they're back at the fun center, and he's just selling her a dream. Like, we're gonna have a house on the ocean. I see us cuddling up by the fire while you're reading a script for your Hollywood movie, and oh, just how lucky he is to have her, and yada, 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 yada. And then his brother comes in, the brother Joe, the one that turned him in. And we can see once the brother sees Jan, you know, he becomes real uncomfortable. And he's like, so where are Gail and the boys? And so B ends up telling Jan, you know, he sends her off somewhere to get some popcorn or something so he can talk to his brother freely without Jan being there. And so he tells him that Gail doesn't make him happy. Jan is the one that makes him happy. And you got to do what makes you happy. And then he tells his brother, trust me, you won't have to rat me out again. This time she came to me. And I'm thinking, like, that doesn't make it right. You the one sitting up here done brainwash that poor little girl. Of course she gonna do what she can to call you. She won't even call her dad. Dad, she's calling her dad Bob. You know, she won't even touch him even and not like in a inappropriate way, just touch him, period. Because you got her thinking she cannot touch her earthly father. Like, it's crazy. And then this is when it gets even crazier, y'all, because then his mom walks in, right? And so while B is talking to their mom, Joe ends up going to talk to Jan, and so he's trying to convince her to go home, right? And she kind of gets snippy with him. She's just like, her home is with B, and she's meant to be his eternal companion. I'm just like, child, no, you are not. Like, ooh, y'all. And I just didn't understand how the mom was just like, oh, she's so pretty, and blah, blah, blah. And here go the brother, and she's young, too. Like, you better speak, brother. You better speak. But, yeah, I just thought that was so weird. Like, who did the mama think that Jan was? Like, because as we gonna see later on, they spend their time together. Like, the mom comes and spends the birthday with Jan and everything. Like, who does the mom think? I know the mom does not think that B is dating Jan. She just cannot. Because how can you condone such a thing? I just can't believe that. I cannot. I refuse to believe that the mama knew what was really going on. But anyway, B ends up getting a call from his attorney. And so when he hangs up the phone from the attorney, you know, we don't really get to hear much other than, you know, we knowing he needs to bring Jan back, right? And so when he hangs up the phone, he just kind of tells Jan that, do you love me? And will you marry me? Will you be my bride? And so she was just like, yeah, I'll marry you. So it's like a couple of days later, and now Jan is celebrating her 14th birthday. Like, the baby's just turning 14, y'all. So she celebrated her birthday, and the attorney or B's attorney is leading the Brobergs on. Like, he's kind of keep telling them, well, he's gonna bring her, and he ain't brought her yet, mind you. So he keeps telling them there, like, trying to put them off from jumping gun and doing something like a silver suit like they had threatened. And so we see the FBI agent telling the Brobergs that that B's sexual obsession with young girls like Jan is just like incurable. Is nothing they can do. It's a hallmark of a psychopathic personality, right? And that he is really stressing to them that once Jan gets back, you cannot communicate with this guy. You cannot give him an inch, or he's gonna take a mile, right? Do not give her access to them. And I'm thinking, like, you pretty much said this before, and look where we at now. But Marianne and Bob, I will give them this. They are seemingly to be a little stronger. They should have been like this from the get-go, though. So over with Jan and B, they're celebrating her birthday, right? Like I said, the mama was there. Like, who does she think Jan is to him? I don't get it, y'all. I don't get it. But anyway, you know, the birthday, you know, he calls her Dolly. Happy birthday, Dolly. That's what he said. And then, do you know this ML forgot his own son taking pictures of them like he the help. Like he's not part of his family. Like, the boy is just really looking dejected. Like, he's like, Dad, you know. He couldn't even get his own son name right. He called him something else when the boy name is Jazz. I said, get dog. That just don't make no sense. I was just like, oh. And the poor uncle was trying to make the son feel better or whatever, and he wasn't having it. Anyway, they end up taking like one picture where it was B, Jan, the mom, and the brother. Now, B, Jan, and the mom, they all huddled up and cuddled up and hugged up in this picture. And the brother just kind of standing off to the side. And I'm just like, again, this is what I mean with the mom. Like, how do you think this is okay? And then the brother, even though you're not okay with it, you still complicit because you're not doing anything. Did you call somebody? Did you call the authorities? Like, what? You didn't. And then you in here taking a picture with the baby. Even if you are standing off to the side, like, it doesn't make you any better. I get that you're uncomfortable, but do something. You see something, say something, right? Honey. Oh, child. This is just really blowing my mind. But anyway, B ends up buying the baby a sewing machine. And so she's all excited. And his son is just looking like, Dad, you bought her that? You know what I'm saying? And so anyway, the attorney ends up calling during that time, interrupting the party. And so he tells B, you better get her back now. She's a kid. And so B asked if they could sue him if Jan is his wife, right? And so the attorney was just like, no, but you would need one of the parents to even to get one of the parents' consent to even marry her. And I'm thinking, like, why, as an attorney, why are you even entertaining that question? Talking about something, yeah. The girl just turned 14. Talking about, yeah, you can if you get the parents' consent. Who in the hell in their right mind do you think would give consent for their 14-year-old daughter to marry this grown-ass man? Like, oh, child. And so, we all know that ain't gonna happen. So, he ends up, telling Jan, you know, he gonna have to take her home. So, she having a full-blown meltdown about having to go back. You know, she crying about Zeta and Zelthra gonna come and make Susan take her place. They're gonna blind her other sister Karen and vaporize her soul, and you know. And then she tells B to talk to her mom because she can be easily persuaded, basically is what she said. I was just like, we. And so B tells Jan that you know, that can't happen because Mary Ann loves him too. So basically, you know, he's trying to make Jan believe that Mary Ann is keeping them apart because she wants B for herself. I said, ain't this some mess? This whole, y'all, am I the only person be screaming at my TV? Like, oh child, this is just a mess. So, he ends up, you know, telling her, yeah, Mary Ann loves him. And Jan's is like, well, does Bob know? And he was just like, yep, he knows. He threatened me. And then he ends up just kind of telling her, you know, he loves her. And no matter where she is, no matter where he is, that she's going to be his only companion. And so basically, don't get back to Idaho and get you one of them little boys in your high school or whatever school you in. I don't even know if the baby in high school yet. She might still be in middle school. I'm just like, the whole and the things he's telling this little girl. So Bob and B, they end up meeting somewhere to do the drop off with Jan, right? I said, don't you know this SOB hugs her right in front of Bob? Like, he literally just like give her like this passionate hug before she gets out the car to get into the car with her dad. She wouldn't even sit in the front seat with her dad. And all we see is Bob, like, he is fuming. Like, he has this weapon on the front seat, and he just picks it up, and he cocks it, and it's just like, you could tell he was wanting to use it, but he doesn't. And so, and Jan ends up seeing it. When she got in the car, she saw. And she's just like, what were you going to do with that? You don't even know how to use it. I said, oh my goodness. Jan has gotten a little smart mouth too. For her to say she doing this for her family, for her to really believe that, she has developed the smartest mouth. I can see, well, I ain't going to say I can see it, but I just think if she didn't have such a smart mouth and she was just saying, you just don't understand, I'm doing this to save us, or something, I feel like I could, I don't know. I feel like I could believe that she's really believing all that B is saying, but I don't know if she's really believing it, but as much as she's giving off. But I mean, she's saying she is. She's only 13, 14 at this point. So, you know, I don't know. I think back to when I was that age, I couldn't have believed these things, but you know, as she stated before the series started, it was just a different time. You know what I'm saying? So we just gonna roll with that. But anyway, yeah. So she going off on her dad, and then B ends up sending her home with bags and bags, all these goodies and stuff from like the fun place. So like he's just love bombing her, you know, love bombing her. Anyway, Bob ends up expressing his hate about B to Mary Ann. They're back at the house. And, you know, he discloses that he has a weapon, even though he knows that Mary Ann hates having a weapon in the house. And so I think she asked, well, did Jan see it? And he's just like, yeah. And he was just like, I think she said, well, was she scared? He was like, no, it wasn't to scare Jan. It was to scare to scare B or whatever. And so, I just said, man, I could just imagine how he must be feeling as the man of the house. Like, here this other man has such a control over his family. And I just said, I bet they just really just messes with Bob. Like, because you as a man, you think most men have their mindset of protecting their families, and here he's losing that grip on protecting his family, and now he's trying to resort to extreme measures. You know what I'm saying? When I could just only imagine. Anyway, y'all. They end up trying to talk to Jan, and Jan is just straight mean to him. She tells them she doesn't want to be there. She wants to go with you and B, and she wants to marry him. So their attorney tells them to see if they can get Jan to talk about what's been happening to her, and that there will be their best recourse to holding B accountable for anything. So B, he's back home with Gail. We see him home. And we don't know what he's doing, but he's like got this phone list in his hand, and he's like calling people down this list. He's calling and checking them off, right? And meanwhile, Gail is just like reminiscing on how they first met, how when they got married, and all the love that they shared. And you know what this fool's response was? The divorce will be finalized soon. I said, well, God dog, he has no heart. He is such a jerk. That fool even came in and ate her food that she cooked and then took a plate to go. I said, ain't this a bitch? You did all that just to leave her hanging. You came to use the phone and to eat. F what she talking about. Jan ends up confronting her mom about why one of the sisters, I think it was like I don't know. Don't let me lie. One of them sisters was able to go spend the night at a friend's house and she couldn't go. And the mom was just like, basically, because we can't let you out our sight. You can't go nowhere without me or your father. And so then Mary Ann tried to sit down with her and talk to her about B. And she tried to use it from an approach, just like kind of telling him that he's sick, he's not normal, he's not like other men, and that his fascination with young girls is normal. It's not normal. And so then, she starts to ask Jan, like, well, what's been going on? So she's, wanting Jan to talk, They're trying to get her to say something so they can pin this jerk down. And so, anyway, baby, Jan pops the hell off. Do you hear me? She pops off. She's just like, y'all are sick. And you just mad that he wants me and not you. I said, ooh, wait. That sassy ass mouth she got. And then Bob ends up coming in to where they were because he was just kind of listening from the outside. And he's just like, no, B is the sick one. He's going to pay for what he's done to a child. And Jen said, I'm not a child. And runs out like, baby, yes, you are. You are a whole child. And so, we see her praying, right? Like, as she does often, she prays. And so she's praying that she'll be able to have this baby with B, and that if God returns her to him, she's going to work on it. Please don't let my sister go blind. Please don't let my sister take my place. Please don't vaporize my soul. The same things that he told her would happen if she doesn't listen to the aliens, right? So anyway, later on, we see Jan. She's coming in, walking in on her mom, who's in the living room watching TV. Apparently, it's late at night, and mostly everybody's in bed. And so she asked her mom, like, why are you still up? And she was just like, I couldn't sleep. And she asked Jan, does she want to join her? And Jan was like, no. And then she says, why aren't you mad like Bob? And her mom was like, Bob? Like, why you calling your dad Bob? And anyway, she goes on to say, you should be angry. She's like, she said, don't you feel anything? And Mary Ann says, because I love you, And she's like, but because of everything I've done? And she's like, that's it? You just love me? And Mary Ann nods. And she's like, yeah, basically, you're my child. I'm going to love you regardless. And Jan was just like, shh. And she ends up walking out. Y'all already know. Jan waited till everybody went to bed. So it looked like she was contemplating going out that door. But anyway, she ends up sneaking her behind out their window. So meanwhile, we see Bob and Mary Ann. They have a little conversation in the bed. Bob is saying, he should apologize. Should he go do it now? And if he had gone and done it now, they might have would have done caught Jan as she was trying to sneak out the house. But he decides to wait until the morning time. So when the morning time comes, Mary Ann goes to get Jan up for the morning. And that's when she realizes Jan is gone. There's a letter, and the letter don't even sound like she wrote it. It sounds like maybe B wrote it, or either B told her what to do and write for her to write it. And she wrote it and left. And so it basically was just like, saying you won't let me do what's right, so I would do what's wrong. I'm tired of your religion and your screwed up morals. So Mary Ann and Bob, they end up telling Pete about it, right? And so Pete surmises that, like I said, that either B tried to make it seem like Jan wrote it, or Jan was just very distressed when she wrote it. So then, y'all, this fool calls the Brobergs, acting like he is just all in a tizzy because Jan had called to tell him she ran away. He over there acting like he all broken up, talking about he's just been drinking himself sick since he's found out. And talking about, I told her to forget about being with me, and she said she can't. I said, this doggone fool. This doggone fool. Because he know good and doggone well where that girl is at, or where she is headed to. So, we don't see it right. We don't see him. We don't see Jan anymore this episode. But, like I said, Marianne, she gets some balls on her. She ends up saying, I don't believe you. And I really thought she was just going to kind of fall into that trap again. Like going for what he said. But she didn't. She said, I don't believe you. And I know you're a monster. And I will get my daughter back if it's the last thing I do on earth. And she hung that phone up, baby. And when she turned around, balls just like this. I said, now, where was all this smoke from B at the beginning when he was grooming y'all? Where was it then? I mean, it's better late than never, I guess. But where was it then? And anyway, y'all, that was the end of the episode. So we'll see what's up next. But I guarantee he know where that baby is and know where she headed to. Anyway, y'all, tell me what y'all thought about this episode. That's all I got for you. As always, I'll pray for you all. Y'all, please pray for me. And what? We'll watch God change things. That's right. Bye.